Bought this slice of heaven from foreclosure auction several months ago. We got the person out, and then we did a massive trash out, and now we're getting ready to do our exit strategy on this. But I'm going to go over 4 different exit strategies that we'll typically use, and then I'll tell you which one we're going to do for this one, unless you can guess in the comments below. As always, guys, we are 2 guys take on real estate. This is our channel Auction Masters, where we talk about only about foreclosure auctions and how you can pick up properties for prices from years ago. You can pick up a property for prices from 20 years ago. We've done that. By the way, we've made a ton of mistakes, so if you want to learn from our mistakes, make sure you follow. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. So the first exit strategy that we always use for buying property at foreclosure auctions is called wholesale. Typical wholesale that you've probably seen on a million YouTube videos. That is where you're buying the contract and you're basically flipping up the contract. And you could potentially, oh, that's prickers. Ow. You could potentially do that with some of them, because you do have some time where you could possibly, assign the contract quickly. But often you have a very short timeline when you're buying them at foreclosure auction. Maybe you have 3 days or so to basically assign it over. So I would not typically use that approach. So our wholesale method is a little different. And what we do is we will put it under contract. We'll close on it, so we record the deed, take ownership. Typically, we're using either a private money, our own money, lines of credit, whatever, to purchase the property. And we talk a lot about that in other videos and how to acquire foreclosure auction. So check those videos out. We even talk about it in our Foreclosure Unlocked, our book on Amazon. If you haven't checked it out, please do. We do, so we'll close on it, and then we usually do some of the work on it. Typically, that is making sure it's vacant. One of the things when you're buying a foreclosure auction, there often are a lot, tenants or occupants in there, former owners or tenants, and you need to get them out because most people don't want to deal with handling the court process, especially in Massachusetts. We'll then basically pop it up. We'll reach out to our local flippers and say, hey, we got a deal. It's all trashed out. Tenant it's vacant. Would you like to, here's the ARV, there's some our estimated rehab, but what do you think? Come walk it and then negotiate a price to get them to buy it and, move on from there. Relatively quick turnaround. We tried to do that. Ideally, depending on how long, if it's occupied, that can take several months, but we try to do it in a few months. So that's, option 1. Next, option 2, we call wholesale. And that's where the property, unlike this one, because this one doesn't have anything functional in it right now. But if it's pretty much functional, but dated, stuff like that, what we'll do is called wholesale, and we will basically come in. If it's occupied, we get that person out clearly, same process as a wholesale. But then we're going to go about basically looking at, what are the quick things that we can do. We'll replace the roof. We can do anything else quickly. The cleaning, generally we don't even need painting. If it's got shag carpet, we're probably keeping that. But then we'll throw it up on the MLS as is, for someone at a reduced price. If you think that the full fix-up ARV is $300, we might slap it up at $275, $260 or whatever at a reduced price, because obviously it does need some love and care, but it's habitable, and we kind of get that on the market so that someone could live in, and maybe it's a handyman special where they want to fix it up as they go along, or they can have built-in equity. The third one, which is one we do probably right now, I'd say we're doing probably 70% of the time right now, at least we have for the last couple of years, is we flip it. We do full retail. That's where we're coming in. If we need to, we're bringing it up to code. Obviously, after we get the person out, we go in, we're siding it, roofs off, and we're looking at what else is on the market and sold in the last 3 months, and we're looking at what they did to those renovations. If they sold well and quickly, can we mimic something similar? Lately, it's been a lot of LVP flooring if it doesn't have hard wood, kind of the gray-white theme for the most part. That's shifting a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more, tans coming back in a little bit. But we'll see what's actually, going on in the market and what, we can be, competitive with. Granite, all these things. It really depends on what area we're in. Springfield, if we're up in obviously a richer town, we have to do a little bit more out there. But we try to, find out what works really in that market. We'll, put it back up on the market and, hopefully sell it pretty quick. And we've got, right now, I think we have We got 2 projects working on right now, finishing up, and those are going to market, and we have 3 on the market as we speak, and 2 of them are under contract. 1 we're waiting for an offer, and yeah, and then we'll just kind of keep those moving. Now, typically, I would say, you know, we do a decent return on that one, so we'll maybe make more of our money, but sometimes it takes a lot more time. And so I guess, you know, I always look at the first 3, what is the greatest time for our money. So, you know, whereas, you know, wholesaling generally really quick. Hopefully, after, if it's vacant, you know, we can sometimes turn that in the same day, and we find the buyer before we even close on it, and then we can do what's called double close, and that allows us to really move real quick. And that is the ideal situation, because maybe we're making, you know, 40 or 50 grand, depending on how well we actually bought it. And, you know, then the second one, wholesale, takes a little bit more time, but that's pretty quick, and we can generally make similar money, maybe make around 50, something like that, similar to the wholesale. And then the retail, we might make a little bit more, but we also had a lot more capital into it, and we had a little bit more time into it. So, you know, looking at our cost of, you know, time ratio, it's generally, if it's vacant, our wholesale is the quickest way and I guess the greatest return or ROI on our time and money. And so I generally try to, you know, we do try to push it to there, but lately with, you know, we've been doing more flips, keep our crews busy, which is great. And then we'll still make money, but it definitely ties up more capital. The last one, which we've done for many, many years, and we still do today, we just did one not too long ago, is we will do the BRRRR method. Essentially, it's the hold method. So if we have a good property that, you know, it makes sense, it's going to be a great rental, sometimes single family, sometimes multifamily typically. We just got like another 10 unit under contract. We'll go in, we'll buy it cash, obviously, you know, whether it be with a private money lender or a hard money lender, or, you know, using our lines of credit or whatever it might be. We'll buy it cash, renovate it. Now, we renovate it a little more thinking of durability. We will make it nice. We just did a really nice one out in Munson. It was a single family in this case, and we basically, you know, got it all renovated, got it rented out. We went to a local bank. They gave us what's called a DSCR loan. That's a debt coverage ratio loan, or a debt service coverage ratio loan. There you go. And that's basically, it's a commercial loan. Luckily, we were got 30-year amortization with the balloon in 25, and it's fixed for the first 5 years, and it was at like 6%. And you just got to be mindful of that you're going to need to refinance in, you know, maybe start looking at it, you know, when you got 1 year left or so, hopefully in better rates. We'll see what happens. And then, you know, we're just renting it out, making, you know, generally maybe on the single families make $400 or $500 a month. You know, on some of the multis, you know, maybe only $200 a month, depending on what, you know, we can get it for. And luckily, at foreclosure auction, we can often get them for much better pricing. And yeah, then we just long-term hold it, and then we can get, you know, the depreciation, all this stuff. And now we've fully renovated it too, so therefore we also have less, you know, maintenance typically. I would like to know what your thoughts are in the comments, which one we should do for this one. I'll tell you mine at the end. All right, so wholesale, you know, basically kind of flipping it real quick. Wholesale, clean it up a little bit, get it on the market, or, you know, and then, you know, sell it to someone who it's, you know, habitable. Retail, get it all fixed up, make it beautiful, and then just sell it. Or hold, buy and hold, you know, fix it all up, you know, within mind that it's going to be a tenant. You want long-term hold, durability, stuff like that. In this case right here, this one, we've trashed it out. It needs a lot of, you know, love and tear, and it's further out here. So we're going to wholesale this one. So this one, I mean, not wholesale, sorry, wow, what the, wholesale, sorry. Got confused myself. So wholesale this one. So we're getting ready right now. We're, you know, actually, I just took some more pictures, and we're getting this one now that's all fully trashed out. We're talking to a few investors that are looking at it. The great news is there's also some buildable lots with it. So that's, you know, really good for someone. So we're hoping that they'll, you know, take it, and then they're going to get some buildable lots. And so they got that value there. We did have to do some of the legwork for there, but that was some of the value add that we're adding, so that this person that hopefully buys it is going to be able to also either build more houses on that, or they can just sell the lots, and you know, we'll go from there. Let me know what your thoughts are below. If you have any questions, please ask them, and we'll try to answer all that we can. And I thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next video.